Hello everybody and welcome back to GamingOnCaffeine. My name is Isaac and we are back for episode 14 of Hypovolemia. Last episode we were working on getting ourselves a tier 5 blood altar, which required us to get 4 beacons. And if we look at the recipe for beacons, we needed 4 nether stars to make that happen. Now to get those, usually you would either fight the wither, or in the case of this mod pack, we can actually put wither skeleton skulls into an alchemical chemistry set with 500,000 life points and get them that way. So last episode we were working on getting those wither skeleton skulls, but about halfway through the episode I realized that there is a quest within the quest book over here that will give us 5 blocks of nether stars, so 45 nether stars for simply getting 1 demon blood shard. And so what we're going to do today is we are going to work on getting that 1 demon blood shard. So to do that we need to work through this little quest line here, starting with the increasing the pain quest, which wants us to make 1 arcane pedestal. Thankfully arcane pedestals are super easy to make, and I know for a fact that in order to get a blood shard, we're going to have to perform a ritual that requires 6 of these arcane pedestals, as well as 1 of these arcane plinths with the 6 aether here, and that will get us enough stuff to fight a demon and hopefully get a demon blood shard. So starting with the arcane pedestal over here, this thing is thankfully fairly easy to make. I'm just going to type in arcane, because that gets us the pedestal and the plinth. So the pedestal requires 6 obsidian and 1 weak blood shard. We do need 6 of these, and we only currently have 5 weak blood shards, so we're going to have to quickly grab some slates and throw those into there. I think with our current altar, we can get 6 all the way up to imbued slates without having any issues. So let's quickly take out our master blood orb there, which I think is currently up at 1,000,000 life points. Whilst we're waiting for that to finish, I did do a few more things since the end of last episode. I first of all did some more magical crop breeding and got some 10-10-10 Manitio seeds. So now we have a bunch of Manitio essence in our AE system, which is going to make magical crops a lot easier in the future. And I also made a deep storage unit for our saplings, which means that our chest is no longer getting backed up. And you'll notice that there is no logistical sorter taking stuff out of the chest and into the deep storage unit, and that is because people in the comment section pointed out that you can actually set these pipes here to pull and push using the configurator. So if I jump up here real quick and shift right click on the bottom of this pipe, it's set to none. If I do it again, it's normal, and then it's push and pull. If you set it to pull, it will pull things out of that inventory and towards the other inventory. Now it does also seem to know, it seems to be like a smart pipe that knows not to pull out apples or oak because it can't put them into that inventory. And so what I think I should be able to do is in the future replace all of these logistical sorters with pipes just set to pull, and I'm hoping they'll then just pull out the finished product and it won't pull out the actual essence. I haven't tested that yet, but that's the plan. I'm hopefully going to be able to just put more of these down without the logistical sorters, which is going to make them much cheaper. Anyway, back over here, we should now have quite a few imbued slates. We do. We can then combine those up with our blood shards to get a few more blood shards, and we're pretty much good to go. And the way that we make an arcane plinth, by the way, is using 1 arcane pedestal. So in fact, we need 7 of these, as well as a bunch of blocks of iron. Thankfully, we have a ton of iron from the original farm that we had set up. So let's throw you in there, and you in there, and actually we should put a blood orb in there as well. And a little while later, now that we have 10 of these weak blood shards, we can come back over to our crafting table, easily make ourselves the 7 plinths that we need, thanks to all of the obsidian that we're getting from our obsidian seeds. So if we do something like this and this, we can quickly craft up 7 of those. We have over 1,000 iron in our system still, so making those 6 iron blocks is going to be super easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then all we have to do is something like this, this, and this, and that should be 2 quests completed at once. Nice! We get 2 more arcane pedestals for this one, so we didn't really need all the extra ones, but they are going to come in useful in the future, because today all we're going to do is set up a simple ritual, but in the future we can actually set up one with more than 6 pedestals, and so those extra 2 are not going to go to waste. Now, as a reward for that, we did get 2 aether, and the next quest requires us to have 6 of them, and that is because the way that this works is, I'm going to go ahead and set this up out here. We have the arcane plinth, which is going to go dead in the center, and then we surround that with 6 arcane pedestals, or at least for the basic like setup here, we have 6 pedestals that look something like that. And then what we got to do is we got to fill all of these 6 up with different items. So the quest book wants us to fill these up with 6 aether. That's going to summon a very simple boss, which we can then kill and has a chance of dropping one of these demon blood shards. If it doesn't drop one, we just have to make 6 more aether, fight another enemy, and hope we get a demon blood shard then, and repeat that process over and over and over again until we get our 1 demon blood shard. At which point, just like with the normal blood shards, we can actually craft more demon blood shards just using a normal demon blood shard and some imbued slates, or some demonic slates if we want to get even more blood shards. But that's getting a bit ahead of ourselves for now, we need to work on crafting that 6 Aether, and Aether is actually not all that cheap. So, if we look up the recipe here real quick, to make Aether, or Ether, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that, we need 2 feathers, 1 glowstone, 1 gas tier per Ether, and we need 6 of these. We do already have 2, so technically we only need 4 for now, but we need to make 4 of these. So that's 4 gas tiers, 8 feathers, 4 glowstone, and 4 simple catalysts. Simple catalyst is fairly easy to make. It's some redstone, glowstone, gunpowder, and sugar, and thanks to the sugarcane that we have over here, all of those are actually fairly easy to get. So we can grab some sugar. Redstone is a little bit tight, but we have the 8 that we need. A glowstone as well should be fine. The hard part being the gas tier, because we do not have any gas tiers. Now, we could go to the nether. We could fight ourselves 4 gas to try and get ourselves up to that 6 ether, but I think just to future-proof ourselves a little bit, it would be a better idea if we made some ghast seeds for magical crops so we could grow ghast essence and then craft ghast seeds at will instead of having to go to the nether every time and fight a ghast. So, there are 2 ways to make ghast seeds. We can either use 4 ghast tiers, 4 Imperial Essence, and a Manitio seed, or we can use some skeleton seeds in a tier 3 or higher altar with 100,000 life points. I think this is going to be a much easier way of doing it because we already have all of the bones, all of the Manitio seeds, and all of the Imperial Essence, because I made a bunch of it before the episode started. So, if we just quickly make ourselves 1 of these, like that, and then craft it up like so, we need the skeleton seeds first, we can get those, at which point I'm actually going to go ahead and make some crop sticks real quick and try and get some more of these skeleton seeds, because we can also use those to make the wither skeleton seeds. If we look at these over here, to make these we also need skeleton seeds, so it seems sensible to actually duplicate these whilst we have them instead of just using the ones that we have to make other stuff. So if we do something, I guess, like this, and put the skeleton seeds in the middle, this is going to be a bit of a pain to do actually because of the fact that we have seeds on either side, but I think we should be fairly easily able to do this. Also, let me try getting my clippers really quick and seeing if I can use those on this thing. Clippers seem to work not particularly well on like non-mutated crops. They work almost every single time on 10-10-10s, but with these ones, oh, it actually worked. Okay, brilliant. So all we can do now is just go ahead and throw down these like so. It didn't work. Okay, that's perfect. We can go ahead and go and do this like so. It also didn't work. Perfect. And a few attempts later, we now have 2 skeleton seeds, so we can take 1 of these, stick them in the blood altar, give it 100,000 life points. I don't think it's going to pull them out all too fast. And actually, one thing I did realize between episodes is it actually tells you how fast a certain ritual is going to pull blood out of the altar. So, for example, this one is going to pull out 20 life points per tick and drain 20 life points per tick. And that is actually the exact same as last episode when we were making the chicken seeds. These pull out 20 life points per tick as well. And so I'm fairly certain that we should be able to do this quite nicely. We should be able to just leave this here, and those will turn into gas seeds, simply because last episode we managed to make the chicken seeds, so that should work out quite nicely. Whilst we're waiting for those to finish, let's look at making these catalysts over here, the simple catalyst. For that, we are going to need some gunpowder as well, and this stuff should be fairly easy to make actually over here. All we gotta do is put the redstone at the top like that, and that sugar right at the top, gunpowder on the left, and glowstone on the right, I think, with the thing like that. That looks like it's doing some work, so that should quickly craft up into 4 of these simple catalysts, which we can then use to make the 4 ether that we need. All we need after that is the gas seeds, which are now done, as well as a bunch of feathers. So what I'm going to do whilst we wait for those to finish is I'm going to go away. I'm going to use the chicken seeds that we made last episode, which I think are here, to get myself a bunch of chicken essence so we can make a bunch of feathers. I'm also going to get myself a bunch of gas essence so we can make a bunch of gas seeds, and I'll be back in a second. And a little while later, now that we have ourselves some gas and some chicken essence, we should be able to come back over to our AE system like so, make ourselves a bunch of feathers like that. That gets us 11, which is more than enough, and then all we need is 4 gas tiers like so. We'll take all 4 of those. It's not the same recipe, it's like that. We'll take 4 of those. If we come back over here, I think our alchemical catalysts should be done, or our simple catalysts, I should say, at which point I think we're pretty much good to go. We'll put feathers there and there. We'll put the gas tiers over here. We'll put the catalyst right there, and we'll put the glowstone on the right, and that should start to cook up some of these aether leaves. And once we're all done, now what we have to do is put all 6 of those onto those plinths, or these pedestals even over here, and put the Master Blood Orb on the center plinth, and that will spawn an elemental that we then have to fight. Now, before we do that, if we go back over to the quest book here real quick, first of all, we can claim this quest over here, which gives us a nice golden apple that might come in useful in the future, but before then, you'll see it's kind of like an optional side quest over here, or like a tangent before we get to this one, and that is to make an energy blaster. Now, I am going to make this because the energy blaster is kind of like a bow that runs off of our life essence, and so what we can do is we can use the life points that we have in our life pool to actually shoot the thing down out of the sky, because it does fly around quite a bit. And so if if we look real quick into NEI, the way that we make the Energy Blaster is simply by putting the Apprentice Blood Orb into the Binding Ritual, which I think just means doing this again like we did before with the Diamond Sword to make the Bound Blade, but this time using the Apprentice's Blood Orb. So let's come back over here, let's grab ourselves the Apprentice Blood Orb, let's also grab our Weak Activation Crystal, this guy over here, and let's also grab our Master Blood Orb from in here, and I think we should be pretty much good to go. So let's go ahead and activate this. Once activated, let's throw that in. Oh, it worked. I'm going to back out real quick and let this thing do its business. It should, again, just light a fire onto every single one of those, and once it's done, I'm going to put that fire out over there just in case. There it is! There it is! Oh, look at this. Okay, so again, when it's not activated, it looks like a weird stick, but if we shift right-click, it becomes an energy blaster, which we can then fire out randomly like so. I assume it's going to use life points from our life pool, 867150. If we fire it and test again, yeah, so it uses a little bit. It doesn't use too much, about 500 life points to actually make that work. So all we need to do now is actually kill one of these things. So, Master Blood Orb in the middle. I believe it does have to be a Master Blood Orb in order for this to work. We're going to put these Aether Leaves on all 6 pedestals. Once this is done, lightning is going to start, so I'm going to stand back a little bit and do that. There we go. It's going to one by one strike the lightning. I'll strike the leaves off of every single one of those pedestals, and once it's done, we're going to be good to go. I should really actually have brought a sword with me, but you know what? That's fine. We're going to fight it, like, purely with our Energy Blaster, I guess. Okay, so this is it. This is what we're fighting. It's got 100 health. This thing that we got deals 12 damage a shot. If we hit, which we seem to be doing fairly consistently, it is flying away. I should probably go back for it. Oh, okay, so it died, but it didn't give us a Demon Blood Shard. So, what we have to do now, guys, I'm going to go away. I'm going to make 6 more Aether Leaves, put them back onto the pedestals, have the thing go again. Again, once we put the leaves back down, it will spawn another one, fight another one, and I'll be back in a second. And a little while later, now that we have 6 more of these Aether Leaves, let's try this again, shall we? No dice. Okay, take 3. Take 4. Hey, we finally got one. Oh my goodness. That took way too long. That took 4 attempts. I was afraid we were going to run out of glowstone at one point. And it turns out, I did turn Keep Inventory on a few episodes back, but also it turns out that these demons decide to attack your corpse if you die, and so maybe that could be a strategy, just like die instantly, let them distract themselves with their corpse, and then fight them afterwards. Alright, so now we've actually got ourselves a blood shard. The first thing that we are going to do is duplicate it, because I do not feel like fighting a bunch of bosses again. Not because they're particularly hard to fight, but mostly because it takes forever to make the items required to summon them. So if we throw that in there, I think that's right. Let me look here at the recipe for this thing. We want to put it in the top. We put that there. That should make us 4 more of those, at which point we can go ahead and make ourselves the next quest, because if we go in here, first and foremost, we should be done with the quest that gives us all of the nether stars. That being this one over here. Let me claim this reward real quick. Just a tank. Is that a tank? Oh, it's a tank full of brine. That is actually super useful, because one of the Mekanism quests that is currently stopping us from progressing any further is to acquire a bucket of brine. And so, by doing that, I'm fairly certain, yeah, we complete that quest line, so we can hand that in, at which point, we already have an electrolytic separator. So let me go ahead and grab this real quick, and that should complete that quest, I think. We quite clearly have one, but it doesn't want to accept that. Dynamic tank, we've already made those as well, and making 26 of those should be fairly easy. But we can come back to Mekanism later on down the line. For now, let's take all 4 of these out of here. Let's claim the reward of all of our nether stars like so. Make sure we don't click the block of Mana Steel. I want the nether stars, not the Mana Steel. Mana Steel is a lot easier to get than nether stars. And so there we go. We now have 45 nether stars. We can craft those back into nether star blocks later on down the line if we choose to. And so we can now go ahead and make all of the beacons required for a tier 5 altar. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 beacons like so, and all we need after that is 52, I think, runes to actually expand this from a tier 4 to a tier 5 altar. And so what we need to do now is we need to make ourselves 52 new runes to upgrade our tier 4 altar to a tier 5 altar. Now, I could just make 52 normal runes, these blank runes here, but we're probably not going to keep 52 normal runes in there because they don't do anything for the actual altar apart from move it up from tier 4 to 5. Instead, instead, we want to use some of these other runes. Now, up until now, we've been using these runes of dislocation, runes of augmented capacity, and speed runes. Now, I'm going to change all of my runes of augmented capacity to runes of superior capacity. The difference between these two is that the runes of augmented capacity always give an extra 2,000 LP. So, if you have 10,000 by default, an extra 1 will give 2,000, an extra 2 will give 4,000, and they all, every single one that you add increases the altar's capacity by 2,000. It's a static increase. Whereas the rune of superior capacity gives an extra 10% every time, and that 10% stacks. So the first rune of superior capacity isn't as good as the first rune of augmented capacity. This one, the first rune will give 10% of 10,000, which is only 1,000. So the first rune of superior capacity is only worth 1,000 extra life points. And by the way, the runes of superior capacity do not stack with the runes of augmented capacity. So for example, if I took one of these runes of superior capacity that we got as a quest reward and stuck it down right about here, we had 32,000. We're not going to go up to like 35,200 because it doesn't stack. We only go up to 33,000. But if I had a second one, we get slightly more than 1,000. We get 1,100, I believe. Like, that's actually taking us up to 34,100 it does. And so these ones stack. And so the more that you have, the more life points that you get. And so, once we get to, I think it's above 15, it becomes more beneficial to have superior capacity runes than augmented capacity runes. And so, basically, once we've got a lot of runes, it's more worthwhile to have these upgraded versions, which, by the way, require the runes of augmented capacity to build. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go away, I'm going to upgrade our altar to a tier 5 altar, I'm going to dig out some space, put down the runes, I'm going to make a bunch more of these runes of superior capacity, as well as probably a few more speed runes, and maybe a few more runes of dislocation, and I'll be back in a second. And quite a while later, we now have a tier 5 blood altar. This thing over here is flipping massive. I didn't expect it to actually be so big because this one, this final row is actually one further out than all of the normal rows. Normally it goes like 1 down, 1 out, 1 down, 1 out. This one goes 1 down but 2 out. And so what I think I'm going to have to do between episodes is make the room yet again a bit bigger because it's a bit tight getting over here now to access the AE system. But I didn't quite get as many new runes down as I wanted to, and I did in fact end up making just a bunch of normal blood runes because these runes take forever to make. I was waiting for the altar to finish a bunch of imbued slates and then a bunch of the higher tier slates, which are called demonic slates, so that we could get the runes of superior capacity. I have replaced all of the current runes of augmented capacity with runes of superior capacity and added a few more. We've got like 5 or 6 here and then like another 6 there, and then all of these have been replaced. And so we now have a capacity of 74,000 life points, and I intend to fill in some of the rest of these, like every other one of these, with more superior capacity runes than all the way down here with even more superior capacity runes. And so this blood altar at tier 5 is going to have a ton of capacity by next episode, but for now it has 74,000. And if we look again in the quest book, this quest here wants us to make the Archmage's Blood Orb, and again if we look over here in NEI for the Archmage's Blood Orb, this guy over here, it requires 75,000 life points with 1 demonic shard. I think with all of these runes of dislocation, I also added a few more of those as well down here. And I'll probably continue to do so. I'll probably add like the rest. This outside row, this new tier 5 row of runes is just going to be alternating runes of dislocation and runes of superior capacity. This middle row, or tier 3 row, is now all runes of speed. This one is currently runes of dislocation and runes of augmented capacity, or superior capacity, sorry. And then the top one is exactly the same as the second row here. So let's quickly go grab a demonic shard out of our system here. I'll step in shard, grab one of these. And hopefully this won't take too long either. We've got more speed runes in now than we've ever had before. This is definitely draining faster than all of our runes of dislocation can put stuff back into the altar, but the fact that it only requires 75,000 and quite a lot is being pumped in here, it is done. It didn't even get down to 0. We now have an Archmage's Blood Orb, which means we are very close to the end of this. Now, this is where things get a little bit crazy, because as a reward for this, we get a crystal cluster. And to make a tier 6 altar, we need 4 crystal clusters. And when I say we're near the end of this, I mean we're near the end of this offering more section. We do have a few quests over here still to do, and we still need to make this sigil of sight, which I think we can make right about now. I don't think it's actually that hard to make at all. Let's have a look. Sigil of sight, we need a bucket of life. Yeah, it's actually super easy. Let me just grab a bucket. We could go outside to get this, but we could also just kind of go like this and grab one of those. I'm surprised we haven't made that before now, but there we go, that's that quest done. Taking us even closer to the end of the quest line. But like I said, this is where things get a little bit crazy, because to make these tier 6 crystal clusters, if we click R to show the recipe, that didn't show the recipe of that. If we click R to show the recipe, it requires an extreme crafting table, and it requires a lot of stuff. First things first, a lot of diamonds, which thankfully are not too bad. We've got a good tree farm going, and we can fairly easily turn all of our oak into charcoal, charcoal into coal, and coal into diamonds, or we could just get some magical crops diamond seeds, and then get them to 10, 10, 10, and get a bunch of diamonds that way. That's probably the way we'll do it, because it's a lot faster and easier. The same is true for emeralds. Emeralds are also super easy to get. We can also just turn diamonds into emeralds in our blood also. The harder things to get are the attuned stones, which are not particularly hard. We just haven't started with Witchery yet. The nether star blocks, which again, thankfully, are not too hard because we were given 5 nether star blocks as reward for that last quest. As long as we don't spend more than 4 blocks worth, we can go ahead and craft up only one of these. And we need, of course, 3 more in order to make the tier 4 altar. So we're going to need a lot of nether stars in order to make this happen. So we're definitely going to have to start some kind of Wither Skeleton Skull crop farm at some point in the future. Also, we need a bunch of ethereal slates, which are 30,000 life points in a tier 5 altar. And then finally, we need some Fluix blocks as well, which thankfully are not too bad, as well as a little bit of Botania as well in the middle here. Some Mana Steel and some Terra Steel. Not too bothered about that. I think the Nether Stars are probably going to be the hardest, especially if our Mekanism machines over here decide to continue not working how I expect them to work. But what I'm going to do now, guys, between episodes, is I'm going to go away. I'm going to try and replace all of these blank runes with runes of superior capacity. I don't know. I said I'm going to replace all of these with runes of dislocation. I might put more speed runes in, just because speed runes are the only runes that actually require runes to make the rune, if that makes any sense. Like, we need a normal blood rune to make a speed rune, and so we can get some use out of all of these blood runes here. So I might do that. I might not. I might just save these for when we need to move up to tier 6 and stuff like that. But if you did enjoy the video, be sure to like. It really does help out a lot. Leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys next time.